Welcome back to the Nerds with Chainsaws podcast, episode 11.
Part 2 of episode 10.
Yeah, part 2 of episode 10. This is just going to pick up right where we left off, wherever I decide to cut it in last week's conversation. So
I hope it flows decently. And
I'll fade it in all nice, I promise.
So let's get back to the action.
Yeah, enjoy the episode. I could just make it 2 parts if we want to keep going.
You could just friggin' just talk about chainsaws.
Let's talk about chainsaws.
We did that.
Let's talk about Chainsaw Man.
We did that.
You're talking about chainsaws.
Nah, we gotta talk about Chainsaw Man, the anime.
You're the only one that's watched all of it.
Damn it.
That's an anime?
Yeah.
What?
You haven't heard of Chainsaw
really?
Man?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, let me tell you about Chainsaw Man, Brett.
It's a really good anime. I need to watch it all.
It is an insanely good anime. Not only that, but the manga also is insanely good.
We're not going to read the manga.
You have to.
Well, no.
I don't like those backwards fucking books. They're weird.
Hey, it's good though. You watch Chainsaw Man, and you tell me that you're not interested in watching the manga. I mean, reading the manga.
I'm not.
You haven't even watched it
I've seen the first episode. I'm not going to read the manga. I will not read any
because
manga.
you haven't watched it.
I'm not going to read any manga. Anything that I want from fucking that type of shit will be made into a show. I'll just watch the show.
Some manga is
When's
really
the
good,
new
though.
One Punch Man gonna be on?
Fucking
Hulu?
never. It's not even made yet. Season 3?
I thought it was out in Japan.
Read the manga. I don't know.
I thought it was.
No, it's not even made yet.
No, friggin' they simulcast stuff an hour after it comes out in Japan now.
Ah.
That it would be here already.
I thought it was out already. I thought I heard
No.
something about that.
Season 3 release date, the most recent thing that they have for One Punch Man Season 3 is that they completely rewrote it on January
It
15th.
released late this year.
Yeah, literally, what's today? The 18th? 3 days ago, they rewrote Season 3.
Huh.
Is what this live update says. It says it will be releasing on November 15th,
That's 2023.
2023. Which, oddly enough, is my dad's birthday.
Hey, does your dad watch One Punch Man?
No.
Damn.
I think my dad watches anime.
I mean, Cameron's dad does. My dad
That would
doesn't.
that would be a very hard sell to get my dad to watch.
Just get him to
anime.
watch One Punch Man.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't be
Fucking.
into that.
I thought anime was dumb as shit till I watched One Punch Man.
Really?
Yeah. And then I watched One Punch Man. I'm like, oh man, this shit's pretty fucking good.
I have been into cartoons forever. I thought anime. I'm not gonna lie. I was a shitter. I thought anime was dumb. Whenever I was like, end of middle school, early high school, but I got way into it in high school, and I've still been into it forever. Now. You should definitely watch Chainsaw Man though, Brett. You have Hulu?
Yeah.
Go home and watch it immediately.
I've been watching Fire Force.
My man.
Skip that.
Except for Hulu only has the English dub, which is gay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's why I'm watching it on your Crunchyroll.
Yeah. Crunchyroll's nice.
I can deal with it.
See, the English dub is just 9 times out of 10 just isn't as good.
Because
The emotion of the Japanese voice actors.
it's because of straight up just cultural difference. Like the way that Japanese people speak is way different than like English.
Yeah, their
It's
their language and like writing and all that is like way fucking different than English.
It just
Yeah,
doesn't translate well.
the writing is different and
dramatic
sometimes it's a little frustrating, but like just the way that they like emphasize their syllables and stuff like that, and the way they emphasize certain words does not translate over to English very well. So whenever English voice actors try and emulate exactly what's going on in their Japanese voice
Just
actors
don't work.
counterpart, it doesn't work because it's just not how it sounds like in English. But some of the best like English voice dubs are ones that are done like with knowledge on how to actually translate this Japanese writing into English that would sound correct. You know, like Cowboy Bebop, Space Dandy. That guy that directs those TV shows works pretty often between the United States and Japan. So a lot of his dubs are pretty good.
I think the English dub of Seven Deadly Sins was alright. Granted, I originally saw it in the English version, so then seeing it in the Japanese version was kind of odd. I was like, this isn't right. This isn't how my mind remembers it.
Yeah, I mean, a good part about watching dub is that you can like focus on
Watch
it.
the action.
You can focus on it while doing other things. You know, like like watching a regular like cartoon. Or
Don't have to
something
pay
like
attention as much.
that. You don't have to pay
You gotta
attention as
read.
much.
Yeah.
That's one thing that.
Especially with those titles up and it's like General this of this, and it's just got like fucking 80 words describing the dude. It's like you gotta read this in 2 seconds.
Oh, dude.
And it's
Yeah.
just like
You're supposed to be like. Okay.
Pause it.
Okay. Pause again.
It's like, I'm not doing that shit because they introduce like 7 characters like that all in a row. It's like I'm not pausing for
that shit's
shit.
dumb. Yeah, for real. That's dumb. There's a lot of bad anime out there. I'll tell you what. There's a lot of good anime out there too, though. That's unknown.
We can say the same about American cartoons. There's a
You
lot
can
of
say the same
shit-ass-
about everything, honestly.
A lot
Though.
of shit ass American cartoons, but there's a lot of good ones.
There's a really shit one that just came out called Velma.
Oh my god.
We
watched first
Spencer
episode.
made me watch the first episode.
I didn't make you. You could have got up and left.
No, I was at gunpoint. There was one legitimately funny part.
And it was ironically funny.
They weren't trying to be funny.
They weren't trying to be. Well,
Maybe they were. But
they were trying to be funny, but it wasn't funny because of the way that they portrayed it. It was funny more in the fact that
How bad it was.
Yeah, like
How bad they tried
in
to be
the
funny.
first episode, like Fred just picks up a friggin' like.
so they threw it at Velma first. And he caught it.
Oh yeah, so somebody threw a friggin'
Paper cut.
cutter at Velma, and then Fred caught it, threw it back. It hits a wall, and then the
fucking arm.
the
comes
blade
off.
comes off and cuts somebody's legs off. And I was just like, what?
We were sitting here like,
What the fuck? And it was funny. It was funny because it did not fit the like style of the show at all. That was why it was funny. Another part that I thought was really ironically funny was like, okay, this is so weird. At one point, they describe Velma's dad as having an illegitimate son with the owner of like the local bar or whatever.
That was a malt shop.
The malt shop. And she was just like, take pictures of me. And then she rips off all of her clothes and is naked.
Taking a photo shoot.
Not like see nipples naked, but the hair was over the nipples type thing where they censor it, quotations. And she's like posing and shit, and then she's also pregnant, and then the baby inside is making like imprints in her belly, and the baby was also posing, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? There was just so much weird shit going on.
Just the animators like trying to save this horrible ass show.
Dude, like, it's so forced. The humor is so forced. None of it's funny.
Literally, the first line of the show is so
They force,
horrible.
They force cuss words because, oh, we're an adult show. She's like, this is how it actually happens, so buckle up, bitch. You're like, I already hate this.
It was like, yeah, the first line of the show is like, my name's Velma Dinkley. I am a college student, and I solve mysteries, and I'm a bad bitch. And I also have, like, mental problems, and you're gonna have to deal with it. And
They call the mystery wagon a fucking
mystery.
rape van.
Yeah.
They call it Fred's sex van. And it's
Yeah, and, like,
oh.
Shaggy is now called Norville.
No, Shaggy's gone. There is no Shaggy. That's just Norville.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. They got rid of Shaggy, and now, they replaced him with Norville, and they had this running joke that Norville hates drugs, and they keep making like that wink. You know, he like looks to the camera and he's like, wink, I hate drugs.
Drugs are bad.
But what? Who cares? That's Norville. That's not Shaggy. Why are you nodding to Shaggy when it's not Shaggy? You know. And then apparently later in the show, Scooby comes back in the form of a black woman.
What the
that
fuck?
dates Norville. I'm not kidding. I saw that on Twitter.
But Norville wants Velma. He's simping for Velma.
Yeah, that's really weird. That is really weird too. I mean, though, and the entire thing is just so bad.
Yeah, this motherfucker pours out his heart to Velma in the first episode, and she goes, "You're so funny. I didn't know you were a comedian." He's like, "I guess I'm gonna kill myself now."
She was like, keep telling me jokes. I'm having a mental breakdown. And he was just like, I know, I actually love you. And she was just like, ha ha ha. And keep telling me jokes. Dude, what the fuck?
He's like, bro, I'm just gonna kill myself, honestly.
If I was named Norville, I would too.
Okay, yeah, that too. Norville?
Norv?
Any other name? You could have named him like Dante or something. Or...
No, they had to choose the blackest name they could.
Is that a black person name?
That's so a black person name.
Really?
Norville?
Well, I don't know.
That is a black name.
I've heard that name before, but I've not like associated it with being a black guy name.
No, any sort of dumb shit name like that, that's a black name.
Man, yeah, I guess.
That's not even trying to be like racist. That's just, I've seen too many of them. Too many dumbass names like that, and they're all
White people come up with some pretty dumb fucking names too.
Okay, but at least ours are simple. Like, fucking.
Oh wait.
Bob.
Wait. It is Shaggy. I just looked it up. I looked up Norville, and the first thing that comes up is Norville Rogers. That Shaggy's first name is Norville. That's just his nickname, is Shaggy. Not kidding you.
That is so fucking dumb. I hate all of that.
Okay, so now I understand why his name is Norville. Obviously.
Was that added after that show came out? Because I don't remember that being.
I don't remember Shaggy's name being Norville.
I do remember Shaggy's name being something else.
I don't remember it being fucking Norville though.
It was made in like the friggin' 60s. I mean, what? I don't know. Let's look at the most famous person with a name Normal.
Raquise. What ethnicity do you think Raquise is?
I think he's a big brolic black dude who throws napkins at your face.
No, he wraps bed sheets over around your head.
Oh yeah.
Since the skull
Yeah, there
fuck
we go.
Oh my god! Why is that whenever I flash somebody, it's like I just slapped them in the face with a napkin from a little kid's birthday party. But whenever I get fucking flashed, it's like some big brolic black dude named fucking Raquise wraps a bed sheet around my head and proceeds to skull fuck me.
It's like we're getting some more of those moments coming back from fucking the new Call of Duty.
Dude, I had that moment today in shipment.
Oh my god.
It was shortly after you left, and I started beating my desk. I was like, are you fucking...
Hey. I looked it up. The amount of... Here's the statistics for the distribution by race for the name of Norville. 80% white and 14% black.
Damn.
Really?
I was like... I could not believe that Norville was a black guy name. I don't know.
I didn't think it was.
I don't want to get into being racist
Yeah.
right now, so I'm not going to talk about that.
I didn't think it was necessarily like a black person name. I just think it's a dumb fucking name.
Yeah, it's a weird name. I mean, it's like Bob.
Is
it
racist to assume a gender off of a name? Because that's where names come from. Is your culture?
Well, a gender.
As you say, it's a racist.
If it was a gender, it'd be sexist.
A race off of a name. You see some motherfucker named Zhao Ping, you're not gonna think they're a white dude.
What's your gender? White.
So I don't think that's racist.
Well, in the U.S., it's a little harder to pin down people's names because some guy could be named Kevin and he's Asian, but he grew up in the U.S. though, and his parents named Kevin, and they grew up in the U.S.
Yeah.
Or like you live. Shit, I don't know. I can't come up with a scenario where a white person would be named like Xiaoping or something, but.
Man, we're gonna get fucking canceled after this episode. Holy shit.
Yeah, one of the people that watches this podcast is gonna be named
Is
Xiaoping.
his
His
name
wife.
Xiaoping? These motherfuckers.
They know me.
It's the one dude from Belgium.
If he's an
Xiaoping from Belgium.
the Xiaoping from Bell, that sounds
Well,
really fucked up.
Names are more often linked towards where you're from, not like what race you are.
Yeah, but aside from the U.S., most places are predominantly one race. So then that it can kind of tie to that. Like Japan, 98% of residents in Japan are Japanese.
Yeah.
2% are foreigners.
Yeah, that's true. What I was kind of thinking more along the lines of like, you can have crazy ass names throughout the entirety of Europe, and that's a lot of white people. And so I mean, like, you think somebody named Franz,
Franz
That's a
Ferdinand.
fucking Swiss name.
I was thinking more German. What do you think?
Like
What's a like a stereotypical German name?
Hans.
Han. There you go. That's a good one. Yeah, you're right. Hans.
Adolf.
The funny thing is that's true.
Wasn't he from Austria though?
Dude, when Cameron was talking about like how,
But Adolf is one of the most common names.
Okay.
Like in the world.
Mohammed is the
Muhammad is the most.
is the number one most common.
It's gonna sound really bad, but Adolf's a cool fucking name. Like, if you take away the history, like, that's a pretty cool name.
I'd name my kid Adolf if it wasn't.
Adolf Wittcorn. Hell yeah.
Where'd you get that name from, Spencer? Oh,
I think it's cool.
I failed history, man. I don't know.
I was reading about this guy in a book. I don't remember what he did at the end, but I mean, he was kind of.
What book are you reading? I think it's called Mein Kampf.
I think it was called My Story, written by this guy, Adam
Hitler.
Adamantium. I don't remember his name, but yeah, he wrote it.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of dope names that have like fucked up backgrounds. So, like Mussolini. That's a cool name.
Well, what guy's gonna be named Mussolini except for Mussolini?
Wasn't it his last name?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's a cool last name. And now you're like, oh, the fucker that did Pearl Harbor.
Here. He didn't do Pearl Harbor.
What?
Mussolini was the fucking leader of Japan's military when Pearl
No,
Harbor.
that's the Italian
That's
leader.
Italian.
Oh, was it Italian?
How you
What
think fucking
the
Mussolini?
fuck?
Hold on.
The
This
most
is why I
Italian
asked you to
fucking
look
name
shit
ever.
up, Dalton.
Hold on. Who the fuck was the
I was like,
Japanese one?
Pearl Harbor? What? You are surely mistaken.
Hiroshito.
Mussolini definitely wasn't a good guy. though.
Yamamoto?
Wasn't a good guy.
This is the emperor.
Yeah, that was
Anyway, we were just talking about that yesterday.
Yamamoto was
Or
the
2
one
years
in
ago.
charge of doing Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, but this motherfucker's name started with an M, so at least I knew it in my head. I just fucked up the
You had
names.
1 out of like 15 letters correct.
Yamamoto was a really cool fucking dude, actually.
Yeah, we were talking about this a couple days ago. I
Yeah,
mean,
we were.
like
He didn't want to do Pearl Harbor
nobody wanted to do Pearl Harbor.
because
It
he
just
was
kinda
like,
happened,
he was like,
you
this
know?
is a bad fucking idea, but I like have to do it.
Oh yeah, let's poke the U.S.
See what happens.
He knew it was a terrible idea. He's like, I gotta do what the emperor wants, you know.
Yeah, somebody came back and they're like,
Did they die?
we just sunk a bunch of boats, and he's like, what boats? Like the Americans? You fucking what?
What? What was I gonna say? I don't remember.
Probably about the fact that Japan's government was super fucked up during that time.
Yeah, it was. It was really fucked up during that time. Just don't do that. I mean, the people at that time too were also kind of buying into the emperor's god thing, you know.
I really
Which kinda
think
sucks.
they wouldn't have done it if they would have known that the U.S. would have retaliated. I think
They did know.
Well, like the generals knew, but like the emperor and his god complex was just kind of like, there's no way they're gonna fucking fight back. We're just gonna bum rush them, do this, destroy half their fucking navy. They're gonna be demoralized and they're gonna agree to a surrender.
Yeah.
Instead, half
Whatever.
of our navy.
Instead, they're like, oh, you done fucked up.
Instead, we sent like the other half, which was like triple the size of their entire navy, with only half of ours. We rolled up with like, I think it was.
Oh, they definitely had the advantage to begin with.
No, we rolled up with like 4 aircraft carriers, and they had 1.
Because they weren't prioritizing aircraft carriers.
They were like, y'all. Well, all of our numbers fucking outnumbered them in that.
The
fight.
U.S. realized that aircraft carriers were the way of the future, whereas most of the other navies were still like, oh yeah, ship-to-ship combat's gonna be a thing.
Well, we still had more destroyers, cruisers, all that, than they did. Fucking I can't remember the name of that battle. Midway.
Well, yeah, that was after a while though.
Battle Midway, we fucking steamed.
That was a while after Pearl Harbor, and that was due to they had some tactical mistakes just from like fog of war, just not knowing certain things that would have been obvious after the fact.
They also did something really kind of crazy, or we did something really kind of crazy, where we took this bomb
Yeah.
and we dropped it on them.
You know what was even crazier?
A lot of people are pissed about that still. Have you seen that? I see that coming up all the time.
About Japan being pissed about it.
No,
Oh, Japan doesn't give a fuck anymore.
people in the U.S.
Uh,
are pissed about it. It's like, why'd you have to do that? They were gonna surrender.
It's because we like to be offended for everybody else now.
They definitely were not. Japan was the last country that would have surrendered.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's why we dropped 2.
That's why we did it.
We fucking dropped
Even-
the sun on them, and then we said, surrender or we will do it again. And they said, pussy no balls. And so we're like, okay, second sun.
Yeah. Think about that. Think about that. First of all, think about how we created something that could literally explode so big. That-
Destroys an entire city.
Wasn't like Hiroshima like 200,000 people died? 200,000 people evaporated. And now
Not all of them evaporated.
okay, yeah, but most of them did. Just in a second.
Only those within, like,
A couple mile radius.
not even, like,
So
the
here,
it's not the fireball that fucks up people, it's the pressure waves.
Yeah.
70 to 135,000 people died in Hiroshima, while 60 to 80,000 people died in Nagasaki.
Okay, so it wasn't 200,000. Anyway,
It's 200,000 total after
200,000 total, yeah. 80,000 people
Just gone like that.
gone, completely murdered by a bomb.
Just
and,
one.
And we're just like, and the U.S. is like, we will do this again if you do not surrender. And
they said, do
and
it.
so they said, nah, we will keep fighting. How do you rationalize that in any way? How, seriously, how can you rationalize that in any way? You have nowhere near the ability to stop this, and we say we will do this again in the next few days if you do not surrender right now. And they're like,
they were going to surrender after the first one, but they didn't agree to all of the terms. Like the U.S. was like unconditional surrender. You fucking, we win. You give up everything.
Okay.
And they were like, no, we don't agree to that. It's like they wanted some like concessions, and they're like, all right, fuck it, second son. Now are you going to?
Taste the sun thought.
Yeah.
You know what's really fucked up? The dude that went through both.
Yeah.
I've heard that story.
Dude saw
survived
both
both
of the
of them.
first bomb drop and was like, oh fuck. Gets hit with lethal doses of radiation. Goes back home to get treated.
Nagasaki.
To get treated for
In
it.
Nagasaki.
And while he's in his, I don't remember if he was in his house or in the fucking hospital getting treated, he sees it happen again. He's like, motherfucker.
Yeah, didn't like no one believe him? There's no way he just leveled an entire city with one fucking plane, one bomb. You're full of shit, and then it happens.
He's like, that.
I saw a.
Poor dude.
I watched a movie called In This Corner of the World, which is an anime movie, and it's about a family in World War II times, and long story short, they get exploded. And, like, the main girl, like, loses her arm and whatever, and, like, it wasn't, she didn't get exploded by the friggin', like, atomic bomb, but she got exploded by, like, a mortar shell somewhere, and she lost her arm and whatever, and it's just a really good movie because it highlights the thought process that all of the people around that time had, like, you know, oh, the government is here to friggin', you know, take care of us, and, you know, I trust in the God Emperor, you know. Fucking crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I don't know how we got onto it, but way back in our childhood, I didn't do it nearly as much as my brother and my dad, but we built model rockets.
Oh yeah, model rockets are fun.
And we started then reminiscing on like the biggest ones we built. And that made us curious as to what people are currently building. So we looked up the competitions, and the motherfuckers that are like leading these competitions that have licenses from like the goddamn like FBI to make these things. That's not a model rocket. That is actually just a missile.
Yeah, they're like
they are straight up they could attach a bomb to it and that would be a missile. That'd be a warhead. These aren't model rockets anymore. They're making actual rockets. They have mobile launch platforms. They attach them to fucking trailers and they set up these platforms. It's literally a rocket.
Yeah. Well, where's the line between it's a model
hobby.
rocket?
So
it's a hobby. We're
Between-
gonna go back to the hobby discussion.
Between I'm making model rockets as a hobby to just I'm building rockets.
So I watched this guy on YouTube. I don't know if you guys see it. It's called BPS Space. He makes model rockets, right?
Quote unquote.
They have full guidance systems. They go up, come back, land. They're like SpaceX's rockets,
Yeah.
but they're models. He gets like a letter from the FBI. He's like, hey, they're like, hey, you need to stop like sharing this. He's like, what? I'm just making model. And then he like step back and like he's like, I'm making fucking missile guidance systems.
That's
Just
just a model
open
rocket.
source and putting it on YouTube. Yeah, I might want to stop. This is shit that we probably don't want terrorists having.
No, we went to. We also, at the end of that night, we started looking at videos of land sharking. You know what that is? That's when the model rocket tips over before launch
Ew.
or comes back to the ground while still propelling itself, and it fucking skirts across the ground at people.
Hey, talk
Fast
about
speeds.
some failed experiments. Remember that weather balloon shit we did
Yes.
in physics, bro? Oh, that sucks. We did it twice. We did it twice and it failed both times.
You remember us calculating exactly where the fuck it landed, though?
No.
And you're within like a mile.
Yeah.
Wait. We found. Did we?
Yeah, remember they got back, like, most of it except my GoPro.
Yeah, your GoPro fell out. That sucks. Okay, yeah, I remember finding it the second time.
Yeah, we had that like competition afterwards, like, oh, who can get closest to marking it? And we were like, our group was like within like a fucking mile of where it actually landed.
Dang. How did it fail both times? Oh, the first time.
The first time the balloon got a hole in it.
It had a hole in it.
So it just it went up and came back down. Then the second time.
Wind.
The second time was the fucking idiots from the other high school didn't have their strings like. They didn't have very good strings. Like everyone else is using like paracord, super strong stuff, and they were just using like twine, and they were the first one on the stack. So their twine.
They were using twine.
Yeah, their fucking twine snapped. All our payloads fell, except for the tracking one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid of them. They would think, you would think they would think that, oh, it might be a little bit important to have a string that doesn't break
very easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like paracord can definitely break, but it is like by far the best material we had available.
Just use like carbon.
Shit. A lot less often than fucking. I could take twine right up to my hands and go if I wanted.
It was like twine or yarn or something. It was some dumb fucking material that was just ridiculous.
Did you look at it when they were putting it on, and you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah, because we were. I remember afterwards, we're like, how did all of the payloads fall off, but the tracking one kept going, and we're like, we went back and like looked at some of the pictures, like, oh, everyone else is using paracord. These guys are using just like string, and like when it goes up, it's gonna twist around a lot, and that's probably what broke it.
Great friction and leverage.
Friction. Alright.
Well, there's 2 hours.
Yeah.
I guess we'll break this into 2 episodes.
You could just do one.
Nah.
Now we'll break it into 2 episodes.
Break it into 4. 30-minute pockets.
2 episodes, and then that gives leeway.
When do you leave, Brett?
Good question. I don't know. I'm going down there tomorrow for job interviews.
You have an interview with a conductor?
Yeah, I got an interview with the city's maintenance department, and then as a train conductor.
Short line, right?
Short line railroad.
Heck yeah.
On board.
What's your girlfriend do?
She's a wildlife biologist for the county we're moving to and surrounding areas.
Wow,
For
that's
the
cool.
state. Gonna be interesting.
And he's gonna have dog shit internet.
Really? What is that?
The number one, or like the top 3 providers down there are all satellite internet.
Dang.
I think he said the fastest bit rate he can get is 10 megabit a second.
That really sucks.
Oh, I can get 100 meg
Okay.
in wireless internet, but it costs like $300 a month.
Oh.
So, Starlink's supposed to be expanding down there like pretty fucking soon, so I might just like wait.
For internet? Just
No.
internet?
No, like we had my uncle has like the good like Wi-Fi hotspot things like we use for Eagle. I might just use that for a few months and then switch over to Starlink.
If it comes.
It should.
Those sort of projects are really hit and miss.
Well, they have 2 launches coming up within the next month, and like literally like the border from like what's covered now to where we're moving is like 20 miles. It's like it would probably work right now. It's just they just haven't officially opened it up yet. So.
My one last thought is, how the fuck are these people getting access to put this shit in LEO? Because that just clutters the fucking spaceway and then makes it harder to get shit through.
No, it doesn't.
How does it not? They're putting thousands of satellites in LEO.
They deorbit themselves after their useful lifespan.
They're gonna put more up. One comes down, they're gonna put another up.
Yeah. But they have these orbits blocked out. They own these orbit paths already at this altitude. So nothing else can go there.
Yeah, but it's still gonna make it harder to get shit through. Eventually,
Eventually.
a rocket's still got to get through. It doesn't matter if someone owns the fucking orbit path. If a rocket needs to launch, it's gonna have to go through that fucking orbit path.
There is debris up there, and collisions are a threat. But like, just like punching through, there's almost a 0% chance that you're gonna hit something on accident.
Until a nut off of a crashed satellite comes careening in at thousands of miles an hour. Punches through.
The chance for collision is a lot more on orbit, like in your specific orbit where your satellite is going to be going, than it is getting there.
Oh yeah, because you spend time there versus going through it for a quarter of a second. But these kind of projects are going to just keep mounting, and eventually that's just going to get cluttered.
So the way SpaceX does it is sustainable. It's like they have these orbits, no one else is going to be in them. They're low enough. Like, this is super low Earth orbit. Like, space station is way fucking higher than these satellites are. There's really nothing else there right now.
I didn't think the space station was technically LEO.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah. So these are there. When the satellites get to the end of their lifespan, they have thrusters on board to deorbit them. So they're not going to be, it's not going to be useless junk up there. And even if those thrusters fail and the satellite just goes fucking dead, it's in low enough orbit that the Earth's atmosphere will drag it back down and it'll re-enter the Earth's atmosphere within like a year. So they're not, it's not like leaving junk up there. Even in the worst case scenario.
What happens in worst case? Thrusters don't work and motherfucker just comes down in Chicago.
It won't. These satellites are so small they will burn up entirely on re-entry. It is literally the most sustainable way to do it that is possible.
Say, because I'm really excited for these kind of projects because this is proof that becoming Type 1 civilizations is even remotely possible. Being able to manage swarms of satellites.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems wasteful because like, oh, this satellite's at the end of its lifespan, time to just fucking throw it in the ocean. Of course, it doesn't really end up in the ocean, it just ends up as fucking plasma in the atmosphere. But in the grand terms of things and like shit that's in orbit that we could have gotten rid of if we tried a little harder, and just like waste in general, it's a really sustainable, really efficient way to do it. And as satellites get old and they replace them, the service is going to get better because new technology.
Well, I would make even an argument of this is sustainable and not wasteful to the fact of SpaceX and Amazon aren't going to be the only people doing this. And if this becomes really good and good enough that it starts becoming an actual competitor to normal telecommunications companies, and a large chunk of the world starts using these, we can tear out a shitload of, well, essentially space wasting infrastructure to get our telecommunications now. All of your telephone poles and shit could be gone.
It's a lot of copper wiring.
Not all of them, because like street lights and shit, but you wouldn't need the massive rows on the highways of telephone poles to get people internet, because the internet's broadcasted from goddamn space. You don't need the giant like substations that bring everything into one giant ugly mass in the countryside, because we don't use it anymore. You can recycle those materials, which is a lot of material, and that frees up room. And for all the people that are like, 5G's gonna give you cancer and shit's fucking with the cows, Well, it's gone. It's not there. So.
Yeah, I think SpaceX is doing a good job. Amazon, I don't know. I don't really know much about their project.
Project Kuiper.
Yeah.
I know a little bit because I had to research both of them for a project last semester. I think Amazon is in a position that they could, if done right, they could corner a huge chunk of the market before SpaceX has a chance. The problem is they're not going to do it right because SpaceX has a huge start. Project Kuiper is way less satellites.
And they're farther out, so the latency is a lot higher.
They're just... The way they could do it is they could complete their project way quicker, get it out to the masses. They're not focused really on the U.S., though. They're focused on, like, Middle Eastern countries that don't have telecommunications. But there are first world countries they're giving this to. They could get their whole product launched and be like, look, it works.
Are there satellites...
And could expand.
Are there satellites in low Earth orbit, or are they in geosynchronous orbit?
They're still in low Earth. But, yeah, they're a lot less ambitious than SpaceX's. Project Kuiper is only like 1,300 satellites or something like that. SpaceX is like 7,000.
So their satellites are probably like in a higher orbit,
Probably.
which means the latency is going to be higher, which means the internet service isn't going to be as good.
I think that was something I read that SpaceX would have.
That's
SpaceX is boasting higher speeds than Project Kuiper, but Project Kuiper could come out way sooner and expand what they're doing before SpaceX can corner it, but they're not going to.
Well, the thing with Starlink and SpaceX is they can work together. Like, being able to launch your own shit makes things a hell of a lot easier. Whereas Amazon, they have Blue Origin, but they don't have an orbital rocket right now. They can't go to orbit with any of their hardware that is in existence right now.
That's what I mean. They're not going to be able to do
So
this quick enough.
if they want to get their network going, they're going to have to depend on other people.
That's what I'm saying is they have a chance to beat SpaceX to the punch, but they're not going to.
I mean, Starlink is fully operational in areas where it's available, and it is actually available. So like the one you can get residential, business, and then the travel one, the one like for RVs and stuff and boats. The ones for RVs and boats, entire world, it is operational. It's just the speeds are slower. The one I'm waiting on is the fixed residential one. And that's just it. It really could be available right now. It's just they're building. They have to build up the infrastructure on the ground, the ground station.
Satellites and shit.
It's like all the
like
the ground
dishes,
stations.
Dishes.
Yeah. So how it works is your dish goes up to the satellite and then down to a ground station, which is connected into the internet. And that's really the bottleneck that they're at right now is they need to build up that ground infrastructure of ground stations across the U.S. to get it up to spec, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like the more satellites they have up there, the better it will also get. So.
Well, yeah, that. I think that's a really good tell that we could be Type 1 or have a chance of doing that, which Type 1 civilization, we are not. We're like Type 0.72 or something like that. What that means is a Type 1 civilization can use the full energy of their host planet. Every resource, every mode of energy, you can harness it completely. You can terraform your world, essentially. And being able to control shit in space like a fucking Dyson swarm aids in becoming Type 2. You gotta be Type 1 to do fucking Type 2. So
we'll get there eventually. We won't ever see it,
no.
But
it's a good news that humanity may not kill themselves if we fuck this planet up. Well, in a way we are fucking the planet up, but not in that sense. Eventually, it will run dry because resources are not finite. But it's not going to happen for thousands of years.
Things are getting better. I think we still have a lot of fucking old people in government who are just set in their ways and don't want change.
Well, I'm not even talking about us like destroying the planet. Just we're gonna run out of resources.
Well, yeah, we will run out of resources eventually, but like a lot of the people in government right now are very wasteful with the resources, and I think the younger generation is better at seeing like long term. It's like, oh, we might need to change some things if I want like great grandchildren to have a decent life.
I think we're still fine for greats. I mean, I'm talking.
I was just meaning like far in the future, like way past my generation.
Yeah, I'm talking like 1,000 years from now, 10 generations further.
Yeah. Anyway, this podcast has been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, but you're gonna get it in hour-long sections, but we didn't really have a great place to cut it in half, so that might be a little jarring.
I got a plan for that.
Voiceover.
Yeah, we're good. After we end this recording, we're gonna do a voiceover. We're just gonna fade into that.
I think there was at one point where we're like, oh, we might be able to make this 2 parts. Cut it there, voiceover. All right. Yeah, it's time to cut her there. So this has been the Nerds with Podcast.
The Nerds with Podcast.
Nerds with Podcast Chainsaw. Thanks for tuning in.
Episode 10 and 11.
Is it 10?
Yeah, we're on 10.
Damn.
And 11 now.
And 11. We'll catch you guys, I guess, from here 2 weeks, but you'll see us next week. So see you then.
Have a good one.